And welcome back, everyone. The white guy talks about the color purple. Look, I'm not going to focus too much on the fact that about race or anything. That's stupid to do, obviously. But I will go so far as to say, did I feel awkward watching the film? Yes, but not again because of race. I felt awkward for another reason, but I'll get to that in a second. The Color Purple, based off the 1982 novel and remake of the original film, starring Whoopi Goldberg, Danny Glover, but redone as a stage musical later on in life. And now this is the interpretation of that musical. It's been getting a lot of good praise. Now, if I remember correctly, it stands at like an 80-something critical score on Rotten Tomatoes, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check that real quick. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, 89%'s gone up. I think last I checked it was 89%. So it went up. 89% of the critics like it, and I think it's 94% of the audience like it. So it's getting good praise, great praise, honestly. It's got an amazing soundtrack to it, vocal performances. It is a good. My immediate impression is it is a good. It's a very good film. However, I'm going to touch on this now so I can just go back to actually talking about the praising of the film. I'm not sure I'd watch this film again. It is a good film, but I actually found, I mentioned this briefly when I saw the joke in my out of the theater reaction when I saw the Joker. I felt a similar sense of I'm identifying everything that is good in the movie, but for some reason it's not working for me. I'm not feeling like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm feeling like I don't really like watching this. I didn't feel that anywhere as strongly in this film, but I still got that feeling of I'm not sure if I'm enjoying what I'm watching. I'm identifying just how good the performances are, but I'm not sure how much I'm liking what I'm watching. And I had to stop and think, it's like, why is, and I know why it was the relationship with Celie and Mr. Albert, I believe is his actual name. And I get why that's the story. I do. And movies like this have to exist for that story. It's to identify all the hardships she overcomes just so she can come out on the other side beautiful, gorgeous, and like the world is great, all that. And I get that. And so the suffering is important for the movie. But that doesn't mean I like watching it. Like, this is, as far as I know, the other original Color Purple it's the same story, just not in a musical form. It's also hard to watch because of that in some ways. It's not like unwatchable. Like, this is not an unwatchable film. This is not that. But at least for me, watching any man or woman get abused like that for whatever reason, and then talking about the race relations that we get, and we actually don't get a lot of race relations in the film. That does come later in the film. We do get some, but it's not a lot. But we did, like, the race relations at the time, and just it's the early 1900s. They were not great. Those race relations. Hell, they're not They're not 100% fantastic now. They're far better now than they were then, 100%. But they're just still work to be done. And unfortunately, we live in a world and a culture where there may always be work to be done on that. But the only thing you can do is press forward, and that is me saying it's kind of the message of the film is to keep pressing forward and never give up hope for the good that is in the world, the good that is awaiting for you. That's kind of the story of Celie. And again, I identified all that watching it, and it does feel good at the end. Like, it feels good. The reconciliations, the wins she gets at the end. It feels good when it happens. It does make it worth it. I'm just one of those people where if a friend of mine wanted to go see this, I would be saying, I would. This is one of those films I'd actually be like, I like, maybe I'll go see it again if someone wants to go, but that's a big if. Like, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable sitting through it again, because it does get uncomfortable, like, with the way this woman is abused. It opens up with her, by the way, I don't know how old she is at the start of the film. I don't think they ever say. It opens up with her pregnant at what looks to be like age anywhere between 14 to 17, maybe 16, somewhere in that would be underage in just about any circumstance here, and she's pregnant, and it's unsafe. And Celie, we know, gets basically sold off into a marriage, and it's unsavory, the things that kind of happen here. It really kind of makes me go, really just puts a bad taste in my mouth. What you're seeing there: physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. Like, it's unpleasant at points, to be honest. But the difference between this and the Joker, the comparison I made, is that with Joker, it was all coming from mental health issues, societal stigmas we have about that, how we treat others, and it was uncomfortable to watch because of that. Here, and there was no good message at the end of the film, is the problem. Here there is a good message, and it is juxtaposed with a lot of other characters, a lot of other very vibrant characters, who are all having their own stories happen as well, and a lot of really good music happening here. That's one of the big juxtaposes against this versus the Joker in terms of how I'm feeling about the film, is that there's a lot more going on here that's a lot more enjoyable to watch. There's moments of humor. There's some moments that actually gave us all a really good laugh. So it's definitely a lot more watchable than the Joker, at least for me. Again, I'm making that direct comparison because of how it kind of made me feel. But yeah, if you're someone who could feel uncomfortable with that kind of subject matter, you'll get to the happy ending, but it might take you a bit to get there. But let's actually, I'm already 7 minutes in. I've been really harping on the thing that bothered me. Let's actually talk about the good in here, because it is filled with a lot of good stuff. The performances are all out of this world. This is actually Fantasia Barrino, who plays Celie. This is actually her. She's been on 400. If you look at her IMDb, which I'm on right now, she really doesn't have much else to her name. She in 2006 she was on Life Is Not a Fairy Tale. The Fantasia. Wait, the Fantasia what is? Oh, okay. Fantasia Barrett Story, whatever. American Idol. Oh, was she? That's where. Okay, see, I don't watch American Idol. I do not care about American Idol at all. But she was a guest performer on American Idol, which would actually make sense given her singing voice. Soundtrack, she did The Butler, but this is her first acting role. She's a standout here. This is a breakout role for her. This, I think, is going to really push her into a much bigger, because she is fantastic. When she is, you can buy her pain, but also that hope she carries with her as well. So well. I actually like Taraji P. Henson in this. I'm not a big Taraji P. Henson fan. The reason for that is I kind of feel, what's the best way to put it, that she's playing herself a lot. I've not met her, but I've seen her in person, on Hot Ones, and I'm mostly just seeing her when I play the role, but I don't see that here. She's playing Shug Avery, who is a singer and a former flame of Albert. And no, she's wonderful. Sophia, played by Danielle Brooks, she's great. She has a very tragic, strong within tragic, and remastered story, I guess you can call it. Coleman Domingo plays the Albert, Mr. I recognize him, and I never remember his name. Man, you want to talk about a guy who's playing a bastard? Oh my God, is he a bastard? Oh man, does he play that bastard well? This is the role Danny Glover played in the original one with Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg does make an appearance, by the way. She's plays, spoilers, I won't say what she's in and where she is, but she does make an appearance. It's very, very minor, but you'll know Whoopi to see her. And that's all well and good that she's there. I'm surprised they didn't figure out a way to get Danny Glover back. Corey Hawkins, who I believe is the one I'm thinking of here. Yeah, Corey Hawkins. I had to remember, I'm where have I seen him before? And then he starts to perform and he's acting. I'm he was in The Heights. He was in The Heights. I'm oh, I loved him in that movie. So it was great to see him. I'm going to tell you right now, though. They also Ciara, that's the name, and plays the older version of Nettie, but Haley Bailey and Felicia, is it Felicia? Because there's a apostrophe. I think it's either Felicia or Felicia. Felicia Pearl. Oh God, Mpasi. Matt is either Mpazi, Mazi, and the P is silent, or Mpazi. I don't want to be butchering the name. First off, they're great actresses. I didn't even know about Halle Bailey until The Little Mermaid this year, to be honest. And I'm like, I want to see more of Halle Bailey. But my God, you have Halle Bailey and the one girl playing young Celie. These are dead ringers for Fantasia Barrino and Ciara, who plays the older Nettie. Like, these are dead ringers for each other. Like, it's like they plucked them out of the past and put them there. All the other minor players are fantastic as well. The musical performances, my God, it makes sense that a couple of these are going to get nominated for best song. Or one of these will get nominated for best song. Sucks a while, at least the shortlist doesn't include anything from Wonka, but I know the shortlist includes a couple of these from The Color Purple. The music is fantastic. Absolutely is. And they do take some turns that I was not actually expecting. There's a song sequence that turns into like this fantasy moment where Celie is fantasizing about singing and fantasizing about like the great Miss Shug Avery. And it turns out like, well, this is interesting visuals. And their relationship, I don't know if this is true in either the stage play or the book or the original movie. Their relationship went in a way I didn't expect it to. I'm like, oh, they actually went this way. I'm like, okay. I'm not judging. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what if they did this? Because they're kind of giving this vibe. I'm like, oh, the vibe was real. Okay. Whatever. No, yeah. And look, like I said, it does have a very satisfying conclusion, especially if you've not read or seen any of the original or other versions of this story. I will say, however, the one other thing, and this is not a negative per se, this is just something I noticed. So the movie takes place over the course of, oh God, I want to say it's 1909 to 1947 is the range we got here. That would mean that we're taking place over the course of 36 years, if I'm not mistaken, 36 years, give or take. So again, as far as I know, they don't give us the age of either young Celie or young Nettie at the beginning of the film. My guess is, seeing as Celie has had like 2 kids at this point, that she has got to be at least in her mid-teens, because that was not uncommon back then, or mid to late teens, maybe. God damn, I just got I keep doing this, clear my glasses like a smudge that won't go away. So let's just hypothetically say they're 16. Unsavory, but legal in certain states. So they're 16. That would mean over the course of 36 years, they're hitting about 52 when we get to them by the end of the film. Okay. And Coleman Domingo's character, the Mister, he's clearly a guy who is supposed to be either in his he's easily in his 30s. Let's call it that. He's easily in his 30s. I mean, as an actual age, I think he's like in his 40s or 50s right now. How old is he? Let's see here. Do we have an age for him right now? Okay. November 20. So he just had a birthday earlier this year. 69, which means 31, 51. Okay, he's only in his mid 50s. All right. And he's probably not playing 50. He's probably playing 30s to 40 at best. Okay, 30 to 40 at best. Let's not 30, but 30s. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He's like 35, which is gross, but would happen back then. That means so that would mean by the end of the film, mind you, he is somewhere in the neighborhood. Now, again, I don't know how old they're supposed to be portraying him. I'm guessing somewhere in his 30s, to be precise. Maybe a very hard-lived late 29 or 28 or 30. But my guess is more like mid to late 30s, early 40s. But let's just say 35. That means he's 71 by the end of the film. except for one character where they put a little gray in their hair and giving a character glasses and maybe a little bit of makeup. They do not do, except for the one time jump too, they do not do a good job of aging these people up. They do not look any different than what they did when we first meet them in the movie at that point in time. When we first meet Celie, after the years have passed, we see her as an actual adult, as a woman, an adult woman. She doesn't look any different till the end of the film, save for some glasses and maybe some extra makeup to make it look like she's aged a little bit. I would not say that woman is in her 50s, though. And I'm like, wait, has this guy not aged at all? He'd be in his late 60s, early 70s at minimum. Assuming he's not in his 40s, in which case he's in his late 70s here. Like, what's going on here with the aging? Like, they got the other character, what was it? Sophia, played by Danielle Brooks. She's the one person they put like a little gray in her hair, but that's it. Like, that's it. Like, that is the one knock, like, genuine knock I'll give on the films. Like, they do not do a good job at aging the characters up at all. But look, that's nitpicking in terms of, like, just things to be like, is there anything wrong with the film? I'm like, yeah, there is. They're not aging at all. Despite the fact time is clearly passing, they're not aging. So, look, that is a nitpick. So, there he goes. It is still, I think, overall a very good film. I do think it's a very good film. It's just not personally a film I would want to watch again anytime soon. Just due to the uncomfortable nature of, spousal abuse. It's one thing to have, like, like the Marriage Story where you get these violent arguments. That's one thing. But that's like verbal back and forth, and they're both giving as good as they're kind of taking. And it's both of them expressing the anger they've been keeping pent up over the years of their marriage. I get that. 100%. I love, like, these kind of dialogue moments. Great. But when you're actually watching someone who, A, doesn't deserve it at all, and B, you're just watching it happen, it's just happening to her, and just watching how skeevy and disgusting this guy is throughout most of the movie, it's just, for me anyway, at any rate, it's not the most pleasant of watches. Now, luckily, there is enough in the film to actually help uplift a lot of that. And again, it all reaches the conclusion of it being worth it for her in the end because she comes out the other side all the better. It's just not something that personally works for me as someone who has known a lot of people in his life who have gone through a lot of abusive relationship situations in all forms, shapes, and sizes. It's something that just leaves an uncomfortable taste in my mouth. And it's one thing if you play it up, but in like a movies like, say, John Wick, where someone beats a woman and it's like, oh no, it's like, get out of here, and then you get action sequences. Okay, it's all hyper reality. Maybe the woman comes back and shoots them and all that. Okay, I get that 100%. But you're playing this up as like a real drama in the real world, like that starts to get like, it's like, I'm not squirming in my seat, but I'm like, there are lines of dialogue where I'm like, wait, what? And then, like, they kind of, like, reveal, like, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought, but still just, oh, thank God. There's a great line, though, in the movie where a person dies. And they're talking about, he was a hard man. He was this and this and this. And it's like, you're preaching. And I'd be lying if I said I guaranteed he made it to the pearly gates. like even he acknowledges, like, yeah, no, he's probably in hell. So there is moments you get a laugh. There is enough in here where you can get a laugh. So look, do I recommend the movie? Yes, I do. If you're someone who can deal with that and are willing to deal with that to get to the happy ending, which it is a very happy ending, then by all means, and plus good musical, fantastic performances. It will probably get some Oscar consideration. This is probably the West Side Story of the year. So, yeah, I do recommend it. I ultimately will recommend it. That is just my opinion, though, on the film. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you folks for the next one. Later.